Chris joins us now. If I had an analyst dunk contest, Chris, who would win?
If you had what type of dunk contest?
An analyst. All NBA analyst.
Oh. If I don't win that, that's pretty sad. I think I'm the youngest and the tallest, so that'd be pretty bad. Marv could throw me a oop, or Kevin Harlan could throw me a oop, and hopefully I can win that contest.
Well, what about Shaq, though?
No, I can get Shaq in the dunk contest.
Grant Hill?
I can get Shaq in the
Grant Hill?
Yeah, Grant Hill, I can get Grant Hill. Now, Grant is in great shape, though. So, he's in great shape. But, I can get Grant in the dunk contest. I'm the tallest, so I don't think that's much. They would all probably say, so what. But I still have the worst knees out of all of us, so it's all even. When's
the last time you thought, man, I could still play, I could give somebody 10 minutes worth?
Very honest, man. I think that every game. And then I have to remind myself that dreaming is for dreamers, and I'm in reality and get back to it. But, the way that my career ended, and with injuries, it was frustrating at times. And I definitely didn't have the injuries of like a Grant Hill, and I know his was much more frustrating as we talk and everything he's been through. But, when you go through that and, my body doesn't hurt anymore. So when I used to get up out the bed, it would take about 5 minutes just to sit on the side of the bed before I could walk and other things. You got to go to sleep with ice and heat. And so all those things are so terrible that when you're not playing anymore and you think you can do something, then all of a sudden you realize, wait a minute, I'm not as good as I thought I was. I played pickup maybe 3 times since I retired, and one time was over Adam Sandler's house. And I realized then with his boys, if I can't play here, I can't make it. I'm not in the NBA. I'm out the NBA, definitely.
Did Sandler score on you?
I think we were on the same team. I tried to be on his team. I was a big fan. Yeah, I wanted to get some assists that time. But he has angle. He can play.
Yeah, he can play. He's one of those gym rats that's not pretty, but Sandler can score.
Yeah, not pretty at all, but he's effective sometimes. Yeah, definitely.
A great line last night about Tyronn Lue, where you said you wish you'd had Tyronn Lue when you called the timeout in the NCAA tournament. Marv set you up, and you slammed it down.
Yeah. I mean, Marv really was laughing on the side though, and I had to kind of check him, like, Marv, is this that funny? But Marv is such a good guy, and the timeout is something, I think everybody knows, but I've always embraced the timeout. Yeah. I know this Fab Five documentary makes it seem like, oh my God, I'm so scared to talk about it, but the day after I called the timeout, it was the worst moment, definitely of my career, and then being 20 and call that. But I come home, my mother's a teacher, and she's a Sunday school teacher. She's a school teacher. My father's deacon in the church, and I come in the house and still kind of depressed and down, and she shows me a license plate, and it says timeout, and she goes, I need you to sign these papers. We just started the Timeout Foundation. And from that, so many kids have gone to school, done other things. So my family looked at it not as a joke. They knew that it hurt, but what do you have to do? You got to face what you did and keep it moving. And I'm so glad I have parents that put me in that position where, no, you're not going to be a victim of this. You got things to do. Hopefully you'll go to the NBA next year. You got things to do. And so I've always tried to embrace it, definitely with humility. How can you embrace it with any other thing besides that? But also, kind of take it as a grain of salt and have fun with it. And it's funny, I didn't really even think it was going to come up in the game because it was game 5. Sometimes people tiptoe around it. And I was happy that Marv brought it up. It was fun, and we had a good moment.
Did you like the Fab Five documentary?
I love the guys, and I think it's just so much missed in there. But I think it was okay, except I think it was. It looked like what happens. A lot of people after they retire, or when they're looking for a job, or when they want to be relevant, they go back in time and kind of make sure their importance is.
They embellish.
Is really known. Yeah. And, my whole thing it's always been about us 5, and so when one guy has a million highlights in there of himself, like he was the leading scorer, when like the stories are all like, after and embellished, it's just a little hard for me. And but I think it was entertaining. There was a lot of truth in it. And, you know, I think it was definitely good. It was okay. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Because you didn't take part, and I understand what you're saying. I know what you're talking about. I just it didn't leave me with a feel good opinion about it, and I remember feeling good about the Fab Five. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I have to be careful too, Dan, because you know, Dan, I'm writing a book, and it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And when I say I'm writing it, that means that I have a researcher, and that's it. And this has been about a 5-year process. And the reason why I didn't do the documentary is because I got a call. And it was, I don't want to get into names and all that, and it was negotiations going on at different places, and I guess someone promised that I could be in the doc. And because they knew I probably wouldn't, they called and said, you know, hey, we want you to be in the doc. I said, heck yeah, I'll be in the doc. What's going on? They go, well, we're wrapping up next week. We need to get you. And I'm like, wait a minute. You know, I'm not saying I was John Lennon or I'm not the head of the Beatles or anything, but, you know, my story is pretty big in there. You're going to come to me with a week to talk about my story when I've been writing my book and I can't even figure out, you know, one day in the week. So, you know, for all the fans that love it, my nephews, and, you know, I show a lot of people watch it that in my family that didn't know I play ball. You know, to my nephews, I'm not no ball player. I'm a fisherman, or I'm just Uncle Chris that dropped them off. And so I'm happy that they got to see that. But I hope that I can give full context to my story, because being thrown under the bus at the end, but then Mitch Albom says, wait, he didn't take the money. And then somebody says, well, he took them. You know, it's like, you know, I mean, it's like at the end of it, it's like, you know, what is it? It's a lot of confusion, and I take responsibility because I haven't talked about it. And I'm going to, you know, do that if it's still relevant or needed at all. But, yeah, I wasn't too thrilled with it, but I'm a big fan of 30 for 30s. And, you know, it was, you know, I can't complain or be upset about it. I hope that's a good answer. That's just like as honest as I can be.
Well, I've always loved you when you've been on, and I push for you to come because you give thought. You know, and you tell me what I think you're telling me from the heart. So I always appreciate that, and I can tell where you guys had a legacy there, and it felt like it was fractured a little bit in a variety of ways, and still fractured a little bit. So I look forward to the book. We'll have you on when the book comes out. What is the time frame for that? And do you have a title?
Man, I got. You know what? Next time I come on, I'd love to read you all my titles, because what I do is I basically write titles down for the last 6 months. So I have stuff from like quotes in John Wayne movies to everything else. So it's just, you know. But I do agree with you, Dan, that the feeling of us, Ray Jackson, Jimmy, Juwan, you know, Jay, is that it ended in love. And so, you know, when you have a clown, you know, I made an agreement when I joined the Fab Five not to be above the group. It was a chance to be above the group. You know, it was a chance to follow all that, and I have stayed consistently as a member. No one's above the other. And it's just disheartening when you pay attention to those rules for 20-plus years, and somebody wants to be Hollywood and make it about them. It's just, you know, I've sat, you know, here and, you know, heard people on the dock say I called the timeout on purpose. How could you do that? Now, 20 years ago when I went to the league, we didn't mention it. It was a young 20-year-old crying in the back of the van saying, I'm coming back. We're going to win a championship for everyone. That's what that was. And so to hear people now just to be famous, you know, no one ever loved the Fab Five. So why would you use us to tell stories to get that fake love now? Our whole heart was in not being loved. You know, if you compare it to sports, it was like being a Bill Laimbeer. I admired him that he went on Chicago's floor and put his hands up and said, boo me, because he knew the truth of who he was. He knew he worked hard. He, you know, knew maybe he won't win tonight, but, you know, why am I going to dim my light or why am I going to beg you for your love when if I have to do that, it's not going to be sincere anyway. And so I was disheartened by whatever someone is trying to create our legacy, you know, because that's not the legacy. Don't try to go back and act like you were smart and a martyr and all this. Now, don't do that. Just tell the story and let people have fun and be like that. So it was a good feeling when I left. And, you know, I did something so stupid that after I left Golden State, because of a contract dispute, not because of Coach Nelson. But when I left there, where did I go? I went to the worst team in the league to be with Juwan because he was my friend, and I knew that we would practice and work hard every day. So those guys are definitely a big part of my life, and I wasn't too happy, though, with not giving the full context of the story, but trying to show, how tough, how hard, and all that type of stuff.
But the next time you come on, you give us some of your suggested titles, and I'll have my audience vote on it, and we'll actually give you feedback. If I said, would you buy a book with this title? So we'll actually do some market research.
I would love to do that.
Yeah. And by the way,
if you could help me out.
Did you ever apologize to Tom Izzo? Coach came on a couple of weeks ago, and he said, you're the one recruit who made him cry.
Coach Izzo is a big part of my book. I've known Coach Izzo. I consider him a friend. I've known him since I've been about 15 years old, and we've had some talks about it. I haven't apologized. I had a brother that went to Michigan State, and so he recruited my brother. After he lost me, that tells you a little bit about the man that he is. My brother is one of the best players in the state. He's good, but I turned down Michigan State, and then this coach has the integrity to keep his promise, the one that he makes in your house with the living room, telling your parents he's going to put your kid through school and do all that. And that brother, Jason, is now a lawyer and an executive with GM. And so I love Coach Izzo because when he goes into kids' houses and he talks to kids, and he says what he says and makes them promises, he holds true to those promises, whether you're not going to play because you don't play defense, or I'm going to make sure I see your son through this like he did with Mateen Cleaves. And I saw that personally. And so, Tom Izzo is one of the best men that I know, and I haven't apologized for that, but I definitely reach out. I definitely reach out to him time to time when I get stuck on some basketball stuff.
If I gave you a mulligan, knowing everything you know now.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah, you know what? The truth is this: I don't want to answer that honestly in the mood that I'm in.
Well, then I know what the answer is going to be. I know what the answer will be.
I'm just, I don't want to answer that honestly with the mood that I'm in.
Next time you're on, we'll talk hoops. We'll help you with the book, with the titles. Always great to have you on, Chris. I enjoy it.
Hey, thanks a lot, Dan. I really appreciate you guys.
All right, that's C-Web.